Hi, I'm Mike Niehuser, founder of Beacon Rock Research, and with me is President and CEO Rick Thibault of Antioquia Gold.
Great being here, and from our last visit at the PDAC, we're here, and
that's right. You just got back from Colombia, so why don't you give us a little update on what you've been up to?
Okay. Well, first of all, Colombia is the perpetual spring. All the flowers are out right now. It's just gorgeous, and everything. But let's talk about our projects a bit. One of the things we're up to is in the country we have 6 properties that are outside of our Cisneros property, and we have a team that's been doing reconnaissance work, putting together reports and that, so that we have a good understanding of what the future work for us to come for the years ahead.
Now, what the reason you're looking at those is that you're really doing a lot of work on Cisneros right now, but at some point in the future, you'll be looking at a Cisneros lookalike or JVing out those other projects. Is that close?
That is correct. That's the future. We feel you always should have something in the pipeline, and so a year ago we set ourselves up with this 32,000 hectare package so that, like I say, you had this blue sky for the future.
Let me ask you another question too. You have a significant investor in the company. Did you spend any time with them when you were in Colombia?
Yes, and also we've gone to their mine in Peru, and it allows us to see their work. Desafío is the company, and they're a private company in Peru, and we've gone with them from the technical point of view. And I think that's why when we talk about Cisneros in a little bit, you will see how it has advanced our exploration, the relationship with them.
Let me ask you real quick, could you remind me what is the size of your land position in Colombia with these other projects and also with Cisneros again?
Yeah, that's good. Just to recap from our last interview, it's 37,500 hectares we have in the country, and Cisneros has 5,600 of those hectares. It's a large land position. And so, like I say, that's our future.
What's new about Cisneros? Because that seems to be what's going to be happening in the next year or couple years.
Yeah, that's the flagship, and that's the one we're working. I'm going to move. Let's move over to another map, and I'll show you what's happening. In Cisneros, we have a two-prong approach here, and I'm going to talk about our regional play. As we know, we've had the core, and we're doing the drilling. But on the regional play, we've done some airborne geophysics, and from it we've come up with 5 targets that look very similar to the core target that we're drilling right now. So we're building that future. We have a separate team that's on its way out, and it's starting to use the same methodology that we used in the core on these 5 other targets in the 5,000 hectare plus that's never really been explored in the Cisneros area.
So in addition to the aerial, you've done a lot of mapping and sampling and artisanal mine mapping and so forth, haven't you?
Yes, that's what the team's out there. They're doing that. We own our own ground mag geophysics, so we have that tool also at our disposal, and we do IP, and so those tools are starting to be used the same way as they were done in the core of Cisneros to expand on these 5 targets.
So these 4 or 5 targets, do they resemble, did you learn anything from what you've been doing at Guayabito that has allowed you to be able to see these as being prospective?
Yeah, because the signatures of the airborne geophysics and some of the other techniques like the trenching and that where we saw results in the core area at Guayabito and La Manuela, we've been able to definitively see the same signature in these other areas. It's like truthing, like taking your thing, the drilling allows you to truth that, this is real what happens, and then you can look at those other targets elsewhere on the property.
So if I could summarize then with that, it sounds like you've got some pretty good, you're really putting some really good thinking behind some good potential drill targets there over the balance of the Cisneros project.
Correct, and it'll grow. Like if you want to talk, we have this is more like an intermediate. And the today target is the Cisneros core, and what I'd like to do is turn this over to Brad to talk about the core where we're doing the drilling in that.
Okay. And what's Brad's position at Antioquia?
Brad Vandenbush is the Vice President of Exploration for Antioquia Gold. and I think you'll enjoy him talking about the detail where the drilling is.
Okay, Brad, nice to meet you, Mike Niehuser. Why don't you kind of give me an update of what your exploration program is for the corner of Cisneros, and this is the Cisneros project right here. And can you show me where the area that you've been working on?
Well, the core area is right in here, Mike. So basically, we'll give a bit of a discussion about the drilling program and how we've been doing the detail on that. And throughout this, you'll hear a number of target areas within that core. You'll hear Guayabito, Guayco, Manuela, Chapulín, Chamuela, and most of these initial ones we'd started to investigate in the 2009-2010 program. So this program, we're about halfway through 15,000 meters in 2011, and we've got two focuses.
So you're halfway through 15,000 meters of drilling, and you only have one release out so far based on that. Is that correct?
That's correct. There's a bit of a backlog in the South American labs, so we're a little bit more of a delay than we were hoping for between drilling and getting our assay results back, but that's catching up quickly.
So we should be seeing some news flow through the summer.
There's a lot of news left to come out through the summer. We're about 4,000 meters of drilling that we've completed that we have no assay results on yet, so we've got a lot to come out soon. So what we've been doing is we've been focusing on expanding the resource from some of the known structures in the 2009-10 programs like Guayco and Guayabito and Manuela and Chapulín and the new structure. And then in the first release we put out this year, we've also been testing some of the new IP and surface target areas within that core area. And we've got two new discoveries as of the first press release, so you'll hear the names. It's the Neuse vein, which is an offshoot from the main Neuse structure, and we've also got Pappy. So those are two brand new discoveries that we got out of the initial 3,000 meters from the 2011 program.
So they're a bona fide discovery upon the drilling, but it sounds like you have done significant other soil sampling and other type of work to be able to understand the deposits so you'd have a higher success rate. I don't want to give you a softball, but it certainly seems like you've done the work to be able to have some success and being able to find discoveries.
Well, that's right, Mike. We've got airborne mag and radiometrics, we've got surface magnetometer survey, we've got ground IP survey, and we've got over 3,000 surface samples, a combination of surface and artisanal mine tunnel samples throughout this core area of the project. So we've got a lot of baseline data that enabled us to pick some good quality drill targets and enable successes throughout this program. And the main focus will be to complete this 15,000 meters by August, early September, and use these targets, all these target areas, to put together a resource estimate for the project. So that's something to look forward to towards the fall, early winter this year.
Can you tell me any issues or challenges you have putting together a resource with the availability of all this work and the drilling with high-grade veins type deposit? I mean, it's got to be a fairly complex kind of activity.
It is. It relies a lot on statistics, and I think everybody knows that a lot of these high-grade gold deposits have a certain nugget effect. So it's creating enough of a database, having a dense enough pattern of drilling that you can increase your confidence level enough that you can put together a compliant resource on the project.
So how does that bode well for the other 4 or 5 targets that you have at Cisneros? Are you be able to take what you've learned here and be able to transfer it to have success elsewhere?
Oh, definitely. Because basically all the effort we've put in here over the last 3 years, we've developed the other targets based on the same criteria. So by using the surface work we have, and particularly the aero mag work, we're able to define targets that have a similar signature. So the next step is to apply more of the ground geophysics to define specific drill targets on those other 4 areas. But initially they look very similar, so we're expecting similar type of results on the remaining targets.
So how would you qualify your exploration program so far this year? Is it pretty much on track? Have there been any weather or anything that slowed you down, or is it moving ahead as you'd hoped?
It's moving ahead as we hoped. We were able to get a hold of 2 drill rigs and keep them through the program. Weather is pretty much a non-factor in this particular area. It does get a little bit wet and slow you down for a week or two, but there's really no down season. So things are going along pretty good, and we expect to finish up in August, September on this portion of the actual field drilling.
And then how much drilling do you plan for these other 4 or 5 targets this year?
Well, 2,000 meters of this program, and possibly as much as 4,000. We might do a small extension on the program so that we'd like to test at least 2 of these towards the end of the drilling program.
Okay, let's see. I'm going to see if I can summarize this and help see if you can keep me on track. So, you've just put out first press release of the year of this year's drill program. You have 2 new discoveries, and it seems like you are being able to have that success based on what you've learned with the other drilling and the other work you've been doing. You're halfway through 15,000 meters. You've got 4,000 meters of assays yet to be completed. You're going to continue to work through the year and be able to do 2, possibly 4,000 meters in these 4 to 5 zones, test them to see if that's worth following up on the next year. Possibly put a resource together this year, and that'll hopefully be positive for the market, but we should see a lot of news throughout the year. So in a nutshell, you've got something in the near term with the resource happening. You've got kind of a little bit more exploration upside with these other zones and what you learned at Cisneros. And then as Rick said a little bit earlier, you've got these other 30,000 hectares that are something you're certainly going to be using as assets to advance the shareholder value in the stock and maybe joint ventures and so forth. Is that pretty close?
That sums it up pretty good, Mike. And I think the main thing is that there should be a lot of news coming out on a regular basis, particularly on the Cisneros project from now through September, October, as this drilling program completes and the assays are released.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And once again, I'm Mike Niehuser, founder of Beacon Rock Research, with President and CEO of Antioquia Gold, Rick Thibault. That's ticker symbol AGD on the Toronto Venture Exchange. And good to meet you, Brad. And congratulations on what looks to be a good year.
Thanks. It was nice talking to you.
Okay.